What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And if you're feeling extra spicy, you can support the channel by clicking that YouTube join button down below or heading on over to Patreon and supporting there. Just like Jazzy Warrior 1414 did yesterday on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. It really does mean the world. And for everyone to take the time out of your day to be here, it's absolutely amazing of you. It always seems crazy to me that, people are actually listening to these stories, listening to me talk. I find it mind-blowing. So thank you so much for doing you, and keep doing that for me. Thank you guys, and let's get into today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? I, 28 female, had a big fight with my sister, 30 female, on Christmas, who told me she's pregnant. Backstory: my sister, let's call her Sarah, suffers from bipolar, depression, anxiety, etc. Sarah had a child earlier this year. Let's call her Anna. Sarah developed severe PPD, PPA on top of her other issues. My brother-in-law travels for work and, even with the pandemic, has spent most Monday through Friday out of state. Sarah gets disability due to her mental illnesses and doesn't work. Our parents work, live out of state, and are high risk for COVID, and they help Sarah in other ways. I live less than a 10-minute drive from Sarah. Sarah had a breakdown and was admitted to hospital, where she stayed a month when Anna wasn't even 2 months. During this time, Anna lived with me since everyone else was with Sarah. After it developed into a routine where Sarah would spend most of the day in bed, unable to care for Anna, and I'd have to take care of the baby. I've spent nearly a year now being the main caretaker for Anna Monday through Friday, plus trying to work from home. Anna has spent 75% of her weeks with me. The other 25% is when brother-in-law is home or when Sarah is at my house with Anna. Even weekends when brother-in-law is home, I've had Anna 30% of the time, as Sarah gets in destructive moods and isn't safe. My sister swears she'd never hurt Anna. To be fair, when Sarah is having a good day, she's a good mum to her, but she can't manage most days, and the precedent has been set that I'll be there for Anna when my sister can't. Sarah, brother-in-law, and Anna came over for Christmas. When we were exchanging presents, I opened one for my sister. It was a pregnancy test and a onesie that said, "Baby 2 coming August 2021. The only thing I could say was, "Are you serious?" with an edge to my voice. Sarah lost it when I wasn't overwhelmed with joy. I approached Sarah after a bit and I said plainly that I wasn't excited about this and thought it was a bad idea, and explained why. I told her I was worried about her mental health and unsure how she was going to care for another baby when Anna spent most of her life with me. I also said I was anxious about getting stuck watching both Anna and a baby. I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny. I told her how stressful it is working from home and watching Anna. I told her it's unfair to me and her kids aren't my responsibility. I'm at my limit and it all just boiled over. Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive, I'm shaming her mental illnesses, and I'm calling her a bad mum. She spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. My brother-in-law was able to get her to leave, leaving Anna with me. They got Anna the next day and I haven't heard from them since. Brother-in-law is home through mid-January though. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister it's a bad idea to have another baby? Edit: I do want to add that CPS has been involved since Sarah's hospital stay last spring. Another edit: I've had quite a few messages asking, "Is your sister really name here?" She hasn't been any of these people so far, but please, if you know who I am in real life, please do not share this with my family. I'm reading all your comments and formulating a plan. I appreciate your advice. Oh, the acronym at the start of that, where the M to F, where it's Monday through Friday. I couldn't find out what that was at first. I didn't know what it was. I know I'm stupid, but the only thing I could find initially was Millennium Falcon. So we almost got that in there. But let's start this off with, I do feel sorry for sister that she's going through all these mental illnesses and, suffering from them, and it's bringing her down by her having to stay in bed all day. She's obviously feeling very down and has these destructive behaviors too. But this is not your responsibility, and I know this is harsh. This is very good of you to be doing what you're doing at the moment, taking almost like 70% of the time you're looking after this child. And I know you've already said it in the edit, but I think it's one of those situations where CPS really does need to be involved. You said she won't hurt the baby, but then you also talk about the destructive behaviors too. And it is quite scary around a child. You know, it only takes a split second to do something. And, you know, I hate to say that as well, because it sounds so horrible to judge this person that way. But you just don't know, do you? And at some point, you need to live your life too. Are you going to be expected to just look after these babies just the rest of your life now until they turn 18 or 21 or whatever it is? It's absolutely insane. But the white wall is blue says, not the arsehole. I was prepared to call you the arsehole because nothing much can be done now that your sister is pregnant. Then I saw that you've been caring for a kid she already has. And quotes, I told her that I wouldn't do it unless they paid me to be their full-time nanny, and says, good for you, stick to your guns, she's using you. And quotes again, Sarah told me that I'm not being supportive. And says, no, you're not just being her free nanny. She's not being supportive of you by trying to tie you down and negatively affecting your life. And quotes one more time, she spiraled again during our convo and became destructive. Oh great, and she can't handle being told no. This is exactly why she should get help instead of being pregnant. At least we can hope she gets both. Edit, yes, I know she could have an abortion. Poor word choice. What I meant, that it's much easier to convince someone not to get pregnant than to terminate a pregnancy that they, however stupidly, want. At this point, there is probably nothing OP can say to convince her to change course. She can only refuse to play nanny. And A Ward says, not the arsehole, she can't have babies and expect you to raise them. Stick to your guns, it's not your responsibility to raise someone else's children. And Howard Project says, this isn't a Reddit question, you need to contact social services and find out what programs are available in your area that will help your sister care for her children and protect those children. And Vast Lecture says, not the arsehole, the level of irresponsibility of your sister and her spouse is ridiculous. No, you aren't the arsehole. You are sick of mothering and caring for a baby that isn't yours. You didn't sign up to parent this child, but you are doing it because you recognise that Anna needs a stable figure. You are now rightfully upset that you have to take care of baby number 2. At this point, this woman is unable to care for these children and her husband is showing all the parental responsibility on you. No, I would be livid. I would be annoyed at the level of ignorance displayed by these people. She's not even a bad mother. She isn't even mothering at all. They need to pay you to watch their children. Don't do it for free. You have your own life to live. And that is another question. What is brother-in-law doing in this? I did read another comment further down that she said, like, brother is just enabling her behavior, but what else is he doing? Now let's find out what you guys think in the comments below. And our next story is from Girlfriend Kicked Out. Am I the arsehole for kicking out my girlfriend out of my place on New Year's Eve for scaring my little brother? We can all agree 2020 was a shit year, particularly for my 29 male family. We lost our dad beginning of the year after he had a heart attack, and my little brother 12 had no one to take care of him. Our mum died when he was 3, so our dad was all we had left. I fought for custody and was appointed his legal guardian. Honestly, it hasn't been easy. We're still adjusting to these life changes and my brother has taken it the hardest. For months, he was just not himself. Bad attitude, lashing out. I got him therapy because I knew he was just hurting, plus stress of pandemic. His behaviour has improved so much since then, even if sometimes there's days where he's withdrawn. Days before Christmas, he was feeling sad since it was our first holiday without Dad. That day, he asked to be left alone. We had to talk to discuss his feelings, and I gave him space after that. My girlfriend was over that day, and I went out to buy groceries. When I got back, my brother was out of his room and helping out. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Yesterday, my brother and I were out having some guy time before going back home to get ready for New Year's Eve. My brother opened up how grateful he is for everything, and he hopes I don't change my mind about taking care of him. I asked why he'd think that, and he told me what happened. That day when I was out, my girlfriend went to his room to tell him he needs to change his attitude and stop moping. Her exact words, because he should be grateful I'm taking care of him at all, and that we can still hand him over to the state if we wanted to. I was furious about this and had to reassure him that was never going to happen because he really was worried about it. We went home, I confronted my girlfriend and she didn't deny it. She told me it's true that there was nothing wrong with telling me he had to stop acting like that when he should be grateful I gave up my life to take care of him. And the thing about giving him up isn't that big of a deal to her because it's not like I actually do it. I said she still scared him with that threat and told her to leave my apartment because honestly, I was far too mad because I didn't want her to be near him right now. She started crying. There was more fighting, but she left in the end. It was just me and my brother for New Year's. Since last night, I've been bombarded with calls from our friends for kicking her out, knowing she has no family and nobody else to spend the holiday with. Everyone has sided with her, and even my best friend says I've overreacted by making her leave when she probably thought she was helping. They've heard my side of the story but still think I was an arse for making her cry and spending the new year alone. I'm having trouble how I could be here, so here I am looking for internet strangers to weigh in on this. And now there is an update to this post as well, so we will cover that as well, but we're going to go straight to the comments on this one to see what they say, but remember, these might be before the update too. Starting with Amara Undone. In what world are you the arse in this scenario? Time to get new friends to go along with a new girlfriend, because none of the current ones sound up to snuff. Not the arsehole at all. You're protecting your brother, a vulnerable child whose only stability is you now. And Stairs motherfuckerly says, not the arsehole, your brother comes first, and quotes, the day when I was out, my girlfriend went to his room to tell him he needs to change his attitude and stop moping, her exact words, because he should be grateful I'm taking care of him at all, and that we can still hand him over to the state if we wanted to. And then says, that is beyond fucked up of her to say. And Math says, not the arsehole, how is everyone siding with her? She must have told some twisted version of the story to your friends. And St. Elvis says, not the arsehole, what an utterly horrible thing to do to a child who's lost his parents, and quotes, I confronted my girlfriend and she didn't deny it. And then says, has she expressed even the slightest hint of remorse since then? Honestly, I'm surprised you haven't kicked her out more than just of your apartment. Is there still a place for her in your life at all after this kind of behaviour? And then Own Brother replies to this saying, your friends are mad because she has no family and nobody to spend New Year's with, yet think of it, she threatened a 12-year-old child who has no other family with being kicked out. What the hell? Not the arsehole. And Welsh Dragon says, oh wow, not the arsehole. When I read the title, I thought you meant she jump scared him or something along those lines. And quotes, since last night I've been bombarded with calls from our friends for kicking her out, knowing she has no family and nobody else to spend the holiday with. And says, I find this hilarious, considering this is essentially what she threatened a 12-year-old boy with. And I just find myself trying to get into that child's mindset when, you know, he went out with his brother in the end and had to say, oh, I really appreciate everything you're doing for me, that he was so scared that he had to say these words to his brother because of what the girlfriend said. How awful it must have been into that 12-year-old boy's shoes at the time. I cannot imagine being put in that position, being worried you're going to be handed over to the state because of what someone said. What a disgusting, despicable thing to do to someone. And now we're going to head to the updates. Okay, wow, this has gotten a ton of feedback. Thanks to everyone for your kind and encouraging words. I might not reply to a lot of the comments that made me smile, but just know that I read and appreciate them. I know I only posted this a few hours ago, but I've had a day to clear my head and really think about this. I talked to my brother because I wanted to know if she said anything else to him. Thankfully she hasn't, and we had another serious chat to remind him everything she told him is completely false. I would never in a million years give him up, and that shouldn't have been put in his head. Another thing I told him was that I'm really grateful he's here with me. Without him, I wouldn't have made it through the year, and I thanked him for giving me that strength to keep going. Someone who DM'd me suggested reassuring him that he's not somehow ruining my life, in case he feels any guilt for what she told him. Thank you for that suggestion. Now, I know you were all waiting on this news. Yes, I did break up with her. Thinking about what a lot of you said, talking to my brother about how this made him feel, and my own thoughts about how badly she acted, I decided that's not someone I want around me or him. I can't risk her doing something like this again and ruining any progress he's made in therapy. I know many of you think I should have done it on the spot, but I want to make this decision with a clear head and not when my emotions were extremely high. She came by my place earlier and we talked outside. Her reaction was as bad as you would expect, and she still believes she did nothing wrong, even after I explained it to her. There was no making her understand, and I told her it was over. I gave her a couple of things that were lying around my apartment and she left. My phone started going off like an hour later, so I had to put it on Do Not Disturb. That's all the drama I could handle for one night. I'll deal with my friend some other time. Honestly, I'm exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained right now. I think this weekend we'll do something to get our minds off this. I definitely need it after everything, and I know my brother does too. It's been a hard year already without all this extra drama. Anyway, sorry for the really long update you guys, but I didn't want to leave anyone hanging. I'm sure more comments will keep coming. I probably won't be sleeping much tonight, so I'll keep my mind busy by reading and replying to more of you. Thanks again for the support. What a shitty way to start the new year, but here's hoping for better things. But what would you do in this situation? How would you deal with it? Do you think there's a way they can recover this relationship after this? Or do you think that's it? It's done now? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for trying to help my wife eat more like my sister? Oh god. My wife, 38 female, and my sister, 21 female, were pregnant and gave birth around the same time. My wife gave birth in late September and my sister gave birth on the 2nd of October. We live in Florida, and despite my sister giving birth later, when we saw her during the holiday season, she was already back in a bikini and wearing a usual style of bra length tops and ripped skinny jeans and looked flawless. She's an influencer and her followers have begun commenting on the hourglass emoji under her content again. My wife has expressed envy at my sister when we'd go out in public, and people would be vocal about how surprised they were that my sister was her son's mother and not a big sister in high school. My wife works out all the time, going on runs every morning before work and going to the gym during the weekend. Recently in therapy, she said she can feel me being so uninterested in her since our daughter was born, and says she desperately tries to get facials and works out to try to keep my attention. I felt bad that my wife seemed to be exercising so much, but the scale never seemed to budge, and she was left agonizing over the fact that she had the beginning of the stereotypically gaunt runner's face. So I asked my sister what her secret was to being so fit, because I knew she didn't like to work out much, because she fears gaining muscle that would make her look unfeminine, about as much as someone would fear dying. We went over to my sister and her husband's home for Christmas, and she showed us all the contents of her fridge, which were mostly fruits and vegetables and didn't have stuff like pasta or bread in it, which I noticed that my wife continuously was eating, along with chocolate covered pretzels she compulsively munches on. So I offered got the groceries the other day with no junk food. However, a few hours later I come home from a run and I see the unhealthy crap my wife likes back in the pantry and fridge, some of the bread already eaten. My wife herself said if she could adopt whatever my sister does and see it work, she'd do anything to look like my sister. So in an attempt to be a problem solver, I tossed the new junk, including the stuff for pasta, bread, ice cream, out. When my wife came back inside, I was making lunch and she scrunched her nose up at the soup I was making and went to the pantry before I could stop her. She got furious when she saw that I tossed out her food, and I said she wanted to look like my sister, so I was trying to help make that happen. I said she didn't need any of the so-called comfort food, and she started screaming that it's all gone from breastfeeding, and that she couldn't believe I was comparing her negatively to my sister. She said my sister was a stay-at-home mum with a husband who pays for a personal trainer and somebody to cook their food for them, and started crying that she's lost me since my daughter arrived. Am I the arsehole for trying to solve my wife's body problem in a productive way? Oh dear, where do we start with this one? First, should we start off that you're comparing your fucking sister to your wife, man? Get a grip. It's creepy as hell. And let's not forget that your sister is 21 years old, your wife is 38, the body metabolism is completely different at those ages. Now, I'm no health expert, so don't quote me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it is. And I kind of see the major problem here, and I might be totally wrong, so I usually am right, but I see a major problem here is that you're not looking after her emotional needs. You know, she's expressed that she feels that you don't love her anymore because of the way her body's changed since she's given birth, so you're not showing her that you love her in that way. You're not sitting her down, you're not talking to her, you're not telling her, no, I love your body no matter what, you know, you gave birth to our child. Of course, things will change, obviously, right? And that is part of life, and I still love you for it. And the fact that you brought up that, you know, she wanted to look like the sister, you know, what are you thinking, man? And then you're trying to do stuff to make her look like her. It's just creepy level behavior and totally unneeded. She doesn't need to hear that. She just wants to know that you still look at her the same way you used to. And that's all you need to enforce. But seriously, dude, stop talking about your sister this way. But acceptable letter says, you're the arsehole. Here's your sister's secret. She's 21 and your wife is almost 40. I could eat 24/7 at 21 and not gain an ounce. God, you're an arsehole. I'm fine, please thanks says, you're the arsehole for so many things here. You're the arsehole for throwing out her food without discussing it with her. You're the arsehole for not understanding that a 21-year-old and a 38-year-old are going to react totally differently to a pregnancy. There is no medical way a 38-year-old is going to bounce back like a 20-year-old. You're the arsehole for being so look obsessed it is hurting your wife. And Prairie Mountain Zen says, so, you find your sister more attractive than your wife, and you're trying to make your wife look like her. Have I got that right? This is, well, that is all just super creepy, dude. You're the arsehole. LoxPoxMox says, you're the arsehole. First off, there's a huge difference in 21-year-old and a 38-year-old metabolism. Second, no one wants their significant other to help them with something like throwing out food to lose weight without talking about it. Let her be. If she wants to make a change, it needs to come to her. And 3 Billboard says, you're the arsehole for so many reasons, but comparing the postpartum journey of a 38-year-old to a 21-year-old who has a trainer and a chef is top of my list. It's only been 3 months. Jesus, the pressure women are put under is ridiculous enough without a spouse contributing to it. Now, I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? And what do you think about OP and how they're handling it? And how could they handle it better? I know there's so many ways, but reel me off a few here. Let me know in the comments below. Stop comparing his sister to his wife for one, right? Now, our next story is from Daygirl10. Am I the arsehole for being mad about my wife's income? I, 33 male, am married to the love of my life, 28 female. She is a lovely person to be around and has many amazing hobbies. The one issue I have with our marriage is money. I am a higher up at my job and make more than enough to pay our monthly fees. She, however, has a part-time job at minimum wage. She brings in a quarter of what I do a month. This usually isn't a problem because we're conscious of our spending and make careful choices. However, Christmas is already a huge expense for us due to gift giving, not this year but usually travelling. We bought each other lovely gifts and we were very happy with what we got, even though we spent more than we should have, including gifts for in-laws, relatives and friends. Again, this wasn't an issue on its own. It's just one of my presents this year was a letter from my wife saying she wanted to try for a baby before we got too old to. I was shocked and didn't know how to respond. I told her babies are expensive and we don't have the money for the hospital bills, food, clothes, toys, etc. that a baby needs, and probably won't magically obtain it within 9 to 10 month span of the pregnancy. She was disappointed and said that she was hoping I would be excited. I told her the only way we could have the money is if she got a full-time better job. Her response was along the lines of, but I bring in money, right? I got irritated and told her she made a quarter of what I did and that her pay is nowhere near enough what it would need to be helpful. She started crying saying that I was being mean to her. Currently she's being very cold towards me and I fear this is the end of our marriage. Am I the arsehole for telling my wife that the money she brings in isn't helpful? Now, I personally don't think you're the arsehole for saying no to having a baby because of money issues, right? I think that's a pretty responsible thing to do. If you don't have the money to look after a baby properly, then you don't have a baby. It's that simple, really. But I think the problem is, and where you become the arsehole, is that you spoke down to her. You said, you know, her job wasn't worth anything. She hasn't contributed nothing to your relationship pretty much in terms of money value. You could have sat down with her and discussed a plan to make that happen, but instead you said, no, we can't because you're not doing enough. That's basically the way I saw it as I was reading the story. I may be wrong in that, but that's the way it comes across in my head, and that's what makes you the arsehole in the situation. You could have sat down with her and discussed that plan to make it happen, to make her dream come true, and potentially your dream come true too, but you didn't do that. So that does make you the arsehole in my opinion, but let's have a look at some of the comments below. With Deadly Housefrau saying, you're the arsehole for how you frame this discussion. If you can comfortably pay all your bills and also travel, give nice gifts, you can afford a child if you don't travel as much. So what you said was that your wife's desire to have a baby is less important than your desire to keep traveling and such. You then told her it was her fault, like if she made more money you might consider a baby. Now, if you don't want a baby, don't have one, but be honest, and what you mean is, I don't want to change anything about my life in order to have one. Did you guys talk about children? Was the agreement that you would? Because she's 28, she may be feeling a time pressure. If you don't want to have kids with her, tell her so she can make an informed choice. If it's a money issue, sit down and work out what a baby would cost with sources and seriously look at what you both would need to give up to make it work. But don't blame your wife like that. And Smoke McToke says, you're the arse, you come off as if you're talking down to her. Also, if you want to wait for a perfect moment to have kids, you're never going to have them. And Widgets in Paradise says, you're the arsehole. I mean, why don't you discuss this type of stuff before getting married? Seems kind of crucial to your long-term relationship success. Not to mention the cost of raising a child go up exponentially. If she's working full-time and your kid is in daycare 5 days a week, it's probably more financially feasible for her to stay at home with a kid than work, based on how you describe things. Bottom line, sounds like you all missed some key convos about what your life goal plans were. Now, I'm going to turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of the situation? Do you think OP is the arsehole for what he said, for, you know, talking down to her in some ways? Or do you think, no, he's totally right in this situation to be talking like that? let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I am hearing some of you guys want Community Sunday to come back, and I am working on it. Don't you worry about that. I will be raising some new subreddit because the other one is still Daddy Cringe branded, and I can't change that. It won't let me change that for some reason. So I am going to be tackling that in the very, very near future because I want to hear your stories and I want them back on Community Sunday too. This is a community-based channel. As I said, we always see the same names, same people, same folks getting involved with the channel, and I absolutely love it, and I want to read your stories too. And if you'd like to be involved or support the channel further, you can by clicking that YouTube join button down below or heading on over to Patreon where you can support there. It absolutely means the world to me right now. And as I said before and in other videos, I will be going part-time YouTube at the end of January. I'm shitting myself, I gotta tell you. So this all really does help out. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. It really does mean the world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.